This is the Algo Futures Trader Weekly Market Roundup, and this is the Algo Futures Trader 7 program for NinjaTrader 7. This happens to be the Micro Dow MYM, and I just wanted to take a look today at it's always important to know when to trade and when not to trade, right? Sometimes it's just as important to know when not to trade. And so I just want to give you a couple of filters that we use that you can have access to that will help us determine whether we should be taking a trade or avoiding trading in the morning. So this is an opening morning breakout strategy. It is completely pre-programmed, so right out of the box it can be used. But what we do is we do a little pre-work before the market opens. We check a couple of filters to determine what markets we want to trade and what direction we want to trade. So this was Monday's trading action in the MYM. And you see this blue shaded area, that's a no trade zone, right? So we need the market to break out of that no trade zone for us, and some other conditions have to be met in order for the system to generate a buy or sell signal. So you can see that on Monday the system generated a couple of buy signals, and obviously those would have worked out. But how did we know that was a high probability trade? So there's a couple filters that we take a look at before the market opens that give us a heads up, if that might be a good high probability trade or if we should stay out. So this is alphawebtrader.com. Now the beauty with Alpha Web Trader, this is the home page here. It has a lot of data, right? Probably looks a little bit confusing. But what I want to point out here is, first of all, you've got this trend strength index, right? This column right here. And it's sorted so that you see right now the market's open. It's Sunday evening. The small caps are showing up first. That's basically your Russell 2000. That means it's the strongest market right now, followed by the Dow, the S&P, the Nasdaq, and your mid caps are the weakest market. So just at a glance, I could say, if I got long something, I'd probably want to get long small cap. If I got short something, I'd probably want to get short mid cap. Okay, so at that time on Monday morning when the market opened, the Dow was at the top, right? It was showing as the strongest market. So that's point number one, filter number one. The other thing, if you look below here, we have a gap indicator, right? And we use this, and the basic premise of this is inside gaps tend to fill. Outside gaps, if they can't fill them in the first 30 minutes, the market tends to trend the rest of the morning in the direction of the gap, sometimes the rest of the day. So on Monday last week, we saw the YM and MYM had, now this says OGD, that means outside gap down. But on Monday it said OGU, that meant outside gap up. And that sets what we call a long bias for that market. Right, and this sell would have been green at the time, meaning long bias. So we had the MYM with the long bias, and again, Dow was the strongest market. So when we couple these two filters, we've got the strongest market, and it has a gap that tells us that market may want to trend, at least for the morning. So when we looked at these basically before the market opened, we looked at the Dow, and all we needed to do at that point, if you come to the right here, is we've got some filters where we can filter the signals. So we eliminated the short side. So we unchecked this short box here. We leave only the long checked, and then we just turn the automatic trading on, fully automated, or if we set it to semi-autonomous or semi-automated here, what it'll do is just take, and we just choose the long side here, it will take only one long trade. So the first long trade it will take, and it won't trade again. It'll shut off after that. All right, so either way, I'm just going to shut this off because the market is open. But so basically, we set that before the market opens because we already know we want to trade the Dow. It's the strongest market. We want to trade it in the long direction. It has an outside gap up, which tends to cause that market to trend higher. at least for the morning, and that's exactly what it did. So it trended higher for the first hour and a half of the morning. So we had a nice trade there. You see the two signals here. So you would have been in the first trade. The protective stop would be on the other side of the no trade zone. So basically, once you got into the first trade, you would have just remained in that first trade until you start getting contracts off. Now, compare that to Tuesday. All right, so Monday was a nice trade, nice, clear, easy decision, but compare this now to Tuesday. I'll just show you Tuesday. Let me just show you the morning action here. So this is basically the first half hour. Let me just paint this in here so you can see. Here's basically the no trade zone here. So on Tuesday, when we checked, if I bring our Alpha Web Trader up here, what we were seeing basically is, you see this column SVI? What we want is, and this basically, if you hover over, you can get the definitions of these. It's what they call the alphabias signal validation index percentage. It's the valid strength versus what we call black holes. Beige is better. So gray means more choppy, false signals, or transition to reverse. So maybe a market in transition, getting ready to reverse. So right now you see this is all beige. That's good. But when these pop up and start turning gray, it's telling us that market is choppy. Maybe choppy, false signals, something you want to consider. Maybe you want to stay out. The other thing that happened is basically the Dow opened pretty much where it closed the night before. And I'm talking about the 415 close. And when that happens, that's also a good indication it's going to be choppy, right? So what we looked at is we combined those two factors and said, you know what? The market looks to be choppy. This is all done before the market opens. We probably want to avoid the morning. And when we check the news, all right, there was news coming out, and it was big news at 2 o'clock. So we said, let's stay out the morning, and if you're going to trade that day, wait, for the news. So what happened? You can see how choppy it was, right? You had all these signals, nothing got any follow through, which is exactly what we were expecting. So we didn't trade this morning, right? We left it alone. So that's just the value. Now you see what happened, right? Once the news came out, okay, once the news came out, that was around 2 o'clock, right? Which is right back here. The news came out, and then we started getting signals to the short side, and those were good. Okay, so just a couple of indicators that we use that give us a bias, whether we should be trading, whether we should be staying out, because half the battle is knowing when to trade and when not to trade. All right, so I hope that's helpful. You can check the links below the video here to get started. You can get started with Algo Futures Trader 7 for NinjaTrader 7 for free. AFT 8 is in beta for NinjaTrader 8, but AFT 7, you can download this for free. Use it as long as you want in sim mode till you can get good at this, and then when you're ready, you can purchase a live license or lease it, and get full support. We have a Discord server where we have a trade room, all that good stuff, and that's free right now. So check it all out, and hope to see you next week.